Hello everyone, I'm Doglightning, Grandmaster Neeko Support One Trick Pony, and I'm here to bring you my long overdue Neeko Support Guide. You can use the timestamps below to go through. We'll be going through intro, runes, ability order, items, combos, lane phase, and late game. Too many fingers. So use the timestamps to skip, but we'll start off with an intro about myself. Like I said, I'm Neeko Support One Trick Pony. Last season we hit Grandmaster. I started playing Neeko Support in Season 9, hit Diamond for the first time ever and decided to start streaming, and from there we finished the season in Season 9 as a Master player. Last season we pushed to Grandmaster, and this season, as you can see, we are in our promos to Master already. Doing okay for ourselves, had a rocky start, but we're seeming to find our stride. So yeah, if you guys want to check me out, I stream Mondays to Fridays from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. EST, and would love to meet you guys. Or if not, continue checking my YouTube content. I make mostly only Neeko content. So yeah, I hope that this guy will help you guys, and we'll get on to the actual content which you wants to see, starting with the runes. Alright, so for starters, I personally almost always run this side of the rune page as electrocute like this. The one difference I'll say between me and lower elo is in high elo, the enemy team is more likely to ward, specifically around objectives, so you can get zombie ward stacks easily. In lower elos, we're not warding as much. I would definitely recommend Ghost Poro because you're not reliant on the enemy team placing wards, and because the enemy team is less likely to swipe your wards, you're more likely to get Ghost Poros. So definitely, if you're below platinum-ish, I would definitely go Ghost Poro. Mid-plat higher, maybe start to convert to zombie ward. But anyways, this is my main rune page. I'll explain this side first and then go through the secondaries. So I go electrocute because Neeko is a short range mage, and you're usually, if you hit your E, you're usually going in for a Q auto, which procs electrocute. But there are other viables. If you don't feel comfortable hitting that auto attack in all the time and you're not proccing electrocute enough, you can go Dark Harvest. So you just have to EQ, poke him down until you get Dark Harvest proc. That's cool. Also, if you don't feel comfortable enough to get kills in lane, going Predator like this is definitely an option. It's really good for, you may miss out on kill opportunities before 6, but once you hit level 6 and you can Predator at the enemy with ulti, it makes it even hard for them to flash out of it. So definitely, if you want to scale for level 6 kills, you can go like this, or even roaming. But in general, I would go electrocute, and if you're not comfortable for getting the autos in, go Dark Harvest. In the secondary row, I really like Taste of Blood because, again, Neeko's a short range mage and she's really susceptible of getting poked out of lane. So Taste of Blood is really helpful because it helps you heal. But if you just want to go for the bloodthirsty with your E's, you can go Cheap Shot for sure, but I personally go Taste the Blood. Taste the Blood is a 20-second cooldown. Cheap Shot is 12 because of the fact that you can proc it only off your E, so you can proc Taste the Blood not as often as you can proc Cheap Shot, but if you miss your route, you're not procking Cheap Shot effectively where you can be procking Taste the Blood efficiently. And Taste the Blood actually heals double the amount of what Cheap Shot does. So technically, if you're procking Taste the Blood efficiently, you're getting more healing than damage done, and you can also miss your Cheap Shot. So I prefer Taste the Blood. Enough of that. These runes we already went over. Relentless Hunter, in my opinion, is the best because you want mobility to be able to roam and get to fights or hit big ultis. It's really useful, but if you are running Predator, you can run Ingenious Hunter. And I see a lot of my viewers in lower elos, they really like Ultimate Hunter because your games are a bit more bloodthirsty and people are just fighting more often, and you just having ult up more often can help. I can see that, but personally, I go Relentless Hunter. So like I said, this is the primary. I almost never touch this. This is how it almost stays every game. This side is what changes. So I think right now the best is Perfect Timing plus Cosmic Insight. Perfect Timing, of course, saving you 250 gold on your Zanya's completion and giving you an early stopwatch, which can also make you not die. So you're kind of stealing a kill from the enemy team and giving yourself 250 gold, which is almost a kill. So you're almost like giving yourself a kill worth of gold and denying the enemy team a kill. So it's like a net 600 play off this, I think. And Cosmic Insight, actually, this season, if you didn't know, they buffed it from last season. Last season, it reduced flash by 15 seconds. This season, it's 45 seconds off your flash. Since flash is so important for Neeko to hit big ultis and stuff, I find it really, really good. I try as much as possible to run this rune because it's just, you notice it. When you just have flash up for more plays, you just notice it, and it's really good. But what you can change, like I said here, is I personally take W level 1 to most lanes, but if you take Q level 1, I'll be going over that later, but if you take Q level 1, I think Biscuits is really good because you don't want to be running out of mana, and the Biscuits can give you a lot of mana regen for the early game. So you can go Biscuits if you're versus a lower elo and stuff, and you can, like, Hex Flash can be really cheesy but fun and good too. But for the most consistent, I'd go this. If you're a VS, a very poke lane, you can, Second Wind can be very useful, give you like an extra 150 healing before first back, which is like a free potion. So versus a very high poke lane, you can go Second Wind with Overgrowth, or if they have a lot of CC, you can go for the unflinching. And if you want, you can also do this, where you go Scorch and Absolute Focus for just the most damage possible in lane if you want to go for lane bully. So there's lots of options here between the 3 trees. It's honestly playstyle and preference. My playstyle, I just like this, right? But this is also, I've had seasons in the past where the meta in the bot lane was like enchanters who are always poking me out, and I ran this and everything. So the meta might switch. I think this is just the safest. So this would be the main rune page I run. A couple also variants you can be running in rune pages is there's a guardian rune page that I sometimes run, which would be more like this kind of a thing. This is really good if you're versus an all-in bot lane. I personally don't really run this anymore, but if you're not as confident you're versus a Mel, like a Nautilus or an Alistair or a Pantheon Pike, I don't know, any of those things, and you're just not confident in the matchup, this can be really helpful as a rune page to go for. Won't really explain it much, but yeah, you got your Taste of Blood, or you can go for bone plating if it's all-in or poke, right? CC, no CC. I personally like Relentless Hunter. I'm addicted to move speed, so there's that. And the final move page I'll be going over is one that was actually run in the LCK recently. They played it in Pro Play, and he runs this. I personally do not like this that much. I think this is only viable if you're running Boots of Mobility first. Since if you're running Sork Pen Boots, which he did in the LCK game, I feel like you really need Relentless Hunter. But what this page does is, because he starts Q level 1, this will give you technically the best lane, because your Qs will be proccing Arcane, Comet, Scorch, plus you'll be getting extra scaling from your Absolute Focus. So it'll just give you a pack for your punch for your Qs, and you got biscuits for sustain. But anyways, like I said, one more time, putting it on the screen, what I run almost every game is like this. So I hope this helps you guys out with the runes. If you have questions about the runes, you can leave comments down below, but I'm pretty sure I went through everything here. So we'll be moving on now to your ability order. So for the ability order, there's actually, Neeko's pretty diverse. All 3 abilities have uses for different starts. The most common one I take usually is level 1 W. It may sound weird at first, but the main reason is there's tons of reasons. First of all, W has no cooldown, which means if you all in level 1, you can get multiple W procs over and over again, where your Q would have been on cooldown, which means it would actually heavily outdamage any other rune level 1. You can see actually here in a clip, right? I am auto-attacking them, and my Ashe is, obviously this is with an Ashe, not every game you have an Ashe, but there are games where level 1s happen, and Ashe is slowing them with auto-attacks, and I'm able to just run them down, use the move speed from W to chase, and get the damage off. So there are scenarios where you can get W all-ins level 1. But the main reason why you take W level 1 is because it's got the consistent poke. You can keep helping your ADC push the wave, and you can auto-attack harass the enemy. If the enemy is too long range for you to auto-attack harass, you can use your W to help you push minions for level 2. And when you get level 2, it's really sneaky, because as soon as you hit level 2, you can stealth right at the enemy and find a route. Since I take Electrocute on Neeko, you can see that you can actually proc, because Ignite counts. You can take your level 2 and you can auto-attack E plus Ignite to proc Electrocute and get a scary level 2 all-in. So I mostly take these for the level 2 all-in pressure, but also another reason is because W doesn't cost mana. And as I've said in the runes section before, is if you're taking Q level 1, you kind of need biscuits, because you're going to yourself if you take Q level 1. The cool thing about this is, since you're not really running out of mana, you're not really spending mana to level 3, as soon as you hit 3, you can start using your Q on cooldown and start poking them out of lane. So basically, like level 1, you use W for control, level 2, you can go in for an all-in, and then level 3, you can start to just blow your whole mana pool just trying to poke the enemy out of lane. I find it very consistent. Also, if you get ganked level 1, you'd rather have W than Q. If you get ganked level 2, you'd rather have WE than Q. So it just makes sense. So I usually go WEQ, then Q max into E max into W. But there are scenarios where you can take the other two. For instance, if you're in a lane where you know there's no way you can auto attack harass, and they're going to be zoning you from the wave where you can't even help your ADC push. Say you're facing, like, I don't know, maybe a Xerath with like a Varus, right? And if you try to walk up and auto attack the wave and help push and stuff, they're just going to hit you with skill shots. Taking Q level 1 can be good in those scenarios, and taking E level 1 is really good if you're invading. I would say never ever point until you know what you're doing. So I usually point my W the second I start auto attacking the buff or the leash. Until then, I don't point in case someone invades. I can have my E ready. But yeah, again, in general, I go WEQ and then Q max into E max. But you can go QEW into Q max into E max, or you can go EQ into W into Q max and E max, depending on the scenario. As you'll see with the runes before, there was tons of runes that work on Neeko. There's tons of ability order maxing that works for Neeko. Neeko's a very versatile champion. Her whole theme of being a chameleon to fit into any playstyle. So that's why I like Neeko. I'll be going more later in the lane phase on how to abuse the level 1, 2, and 3 spikes and stuff, so you should stick for that. But for now, we shall move on to the next section, which is items. Okay, so Neeko's item set. How can we talk about items without first talking about mythics? What are the best mythics on Neeko? Well, in general, I would say there are 2 viable options if you want to be playing Neeko to the most effective. You have your Rocket Belt and you have your Shirelias. Simple reason, Neeko likes 2 basic stats are your best for Neeko. You want AP and HP. Those 2 items both give AP and HP, so check you're getting damage and you're getting tanky. You want to get tanky because Neeko is always running into the middle of team fights trying to hit ultis. Step 2, what does Neeko want? She wants something that helps her land her ult. Again, Rocket Belt has the dash, and Shirelia's has the speed boost to help you land ulti. So that's why they're the 2 options. Now, I do have lower elo players who watch me who say they're not good enough mechanically to use the abilities of the actives. So if you are not good enough, I would say you should go Night Harvester if you want to get like a more expensive mythic. Or if you want to go for a support mythic, I would say probably Imperial Mandate is your best bet, but I think I'd go Night Harvester over this personally. The extra damage it provides isn't that great on Neeko since you're only putting it on your E, and usually when you're Eing, you're all inning. I think Imperial Mandate's best on champs who can poke and proc it, but anyways, that's another video, I guess. So yeah, I'll show you guys how these items work. The Rocket Belt, when you use it, it gives you a little dash, right? So what you want to do is you want to combo this with a Neeko ult, right? You go ulti, dash, and you can get some extra distance to catch some people out. You can also combo this with your flash, right? So you go flash Rocket Belt and catch some people out. In the combo section later, I'll go more in depth into these, but that's how you can use Rocket Belt. You can also use it in other ways, but that's the main reason you'd be building it. And Shirelia's, I usually put it on the 2 slot so I can push 2 and W at the same time. And very similar, you're going 2W ulti and running in with an ult. So that's why I picked those 2 items as my 2 mythics. Now we can move on to the boots. So for boots, I personally think Sork Pen boots just make a lot of... First of all, you want to rush boots no matter what first. Unless you don't have enough money, you get it right away. Like, obviously, getting for boots and an Amp Tome is fine as a first back. But on your next back, you want to be upgrading boots. Sork Pen, in my opinion, is one of the best because Neeko has really, really good base damage on her Q. So if you get Sork Pen boots, first of all, it'll help you roam. It'll help you dodge skill shots. And it'll help you land your combo, right? And your combo will just really, really do a lot of damage. You don't need to build AP right away on this champ to do damage. The Spell Pen is really, really good. So I personally would go Spell Pen boots, but if you like to roam, you can go for mobility boots or boots of swiftness, depending on your gold backing. A lot of players keep asking me about Ionian boots, and I want to set the reason why I don't like them on Neeko. Neeko is a burst mage. She is not a poke mage. CDR boots are really good on champs who keep throwing spells and poking the enemy out, like a Xerath, and you're just landing Q after Q. Neeko's Q range is super low, and when you throw it, you're always in range to get caught. You're usually not poking before team fights. Neeko is usually, I call, a burst mage. You're usually stealthing in and you're hitting your EQ ulti on someone and you're all in. Because of this, you would rather have the extra damage than the CDR. So that's my reasoning for that. But anyway, so a typical build. One other item that I should mention before we start going into just like full build is the Zanyas. This actually can be built before your mythic item. Depending if the enemy team has assassins. If the enemy team has assassins, I will just straight up rush Zanyas some games because it's just super good to just ulti, flash Zanyas and get ultis off and not worry about dying, and if they try and engage on you, they can't get you. But in general, that's mostly just versus assassins. So for the most part, you have builds like this. So you start the game, you're doing really well, you're snowballing, you go Rocket Belt, right, into Zanyas. And then your last item is usually a fill. If you need magic resist, you go Banshees. If you want more damage because they have tanks, you go Void Staff. And if they have healers, you go Morelos. After that, you don't really get more, except you'd probably just get your Warding Stone to help you with late game vision control. Or if you're in lower elo, you could just fill in more items. But generally, you want to try and just be sticking to these items that are 2,500 gold. Right? Cheap items that are efficient to build on support. So you have your Banshees, your Morelos, and your Void Staff as the items you're looking for after your Zanyas. As I said, you can go Shirelias. So a circumstance where you'd go Shirelias is, say first back, you get your boots and you get an Amp Tome. And then next time you die in lane, you get ganked and you die in lane. Okay, you buy a Ruby Crystal. You go back to lane, you die again. Okay, you've already died twice early. A great time to pivot and just build this into your Shirelias because it's a much cheaper item and you're just getting an earlier spike. So in general, try not to, unless you know you're snowballing, try not to cement your build in one or the other. Build the components in Amp Tome or Ruby, right? Build components of both and see what you can get. And then if you're doing well, you can build it into Rocket Belt. And if you're falling behind, you can go for the Shirelias. So I hope that makes sense. If you start off by rushing the Zanyas, so I take this stopwatch and I upgrade it to a Zanyas. I wish this other Zanyas would stop taking space in my bag. And it's bugged too. Cool. That's really weird. It's literally, okay, well, whatever. Say you rush Zanyas. Oh, it's because it's not enough time yet. It hasn't proc probably. If you rush Zanyas, you're not going to have a lot of space in your bag, right? So say you get this, right? You have your 2 control wards, right? Usually, if this wasn't being buggy, okay, we'll just say that's the Zanyas. If this isn't right there, you have 2 slots left. So if you rush Zanyas, it can be hard to build Rocket Belt next, because if you go Rocket Belt, you build this and you build this. And now all of a sudden, you don't have enough room for the Ruby Crystal. And Neeko has a very, I'm level 18, but she has a small health pool. You didn't build a health item first. So unless you're snowballing hard, if you rush the Zanyas, it can be really nice to go into the Shirelias second, because you can get both the components, because you have enough space, and then finish it off. Bada boom, bada bing. But, yeah, so for the most part, these are the main builds, so I'll recap it quickly. You have, as a first item, you have 3 options: Rocket Belt, Shirelias, Zanyas. Zanyas if the enemy team has a bunch of assassins, Rocket Belt if you're doing well, and Shirelias if you fall behind. For boots, you usually want to go Spell Pen boots, but if you want to roam, you can go for Moby boots, or you can go for the Swifties. There are cases where you can get the armor and MR boots if the enemy team is very stacked with type of resist, but in general, those are the items. Then after that, most games, after you finish your first mythic, you're going for Zanyas. There's very few cases that you go for Banshees or something, but it's usually those into Zanyas. So you can go for big engages and you hit Zanyas not die. And for your final item, you want to fill it with one of the 3 last options, which is usually Banshees, Void Staff, or Morellos, depending if you need magic resist, you need more damage, like if you're the only AP, or if you need anti-heal. So I hope that this explanation of my builds makes sense. There are some other cheeky builds I used to build last season. They don't feel as good this season. Last season I used to build Righteous Glory, which is now Turbo Chem Tank, but the new one just doesn't feel as good. So the Tank Neeko build doesn't feel as good this season, but you can if you're playing normal games and you want to have fun. It's pretty fun because you can build Turbo Chem Tank into some other like tanky items, and you won't do any damage, but you can just pop Turbo Chem Tank and just run in like YOLO, just hit a big ult. You're not going to die. So those are always fun, but in general, that would be my build for Neeko. So now we can move on to some basic combos. Okay, now for Neeko's combos, I'm going to be going over the basic combos, but you can basically combine all these combos to make bigger ones. If you use the timestamps or whatever it is, something above my head here, you should be able to click a video that'll go more in depth in Neeko's hardest combos, where I really show how to utilize all these techniques I'm about to show you and combine them into like a big combo. But right now I'm just going to show you the basics. So every 3rd auto, you can see I have it procced. My W does empowered damage and gives you a move speed. So you want to make sure you always auto the minions and get your W ready to be procced, unless you want the wave to be pushing towards you, of course. So basically you have 2 main combos. One is the poke combo, which is just a simple Q auto and walk away. The reason why you don't always want to root is because if you root and miss or even hit, it gives the enemy team a chance to go in. So say you're versus a Rakan and you use an E on the ADC, Rakan now can engage on you. But if you just Q auto, you can, and you're maxing Q, you can get the majority damage. Your E at rank 1 only does 80 damage. You're not really losing much, and you're just poking them and walking away. So that's a good poke combo. And then your all-in combo is the stealth into EQ auto and walk away. Again, your empowered auto gives you move speed, so it's nice you get move speed in, get the empowered auto for move speed out. Really clean combo. So those are your 2 main combos. To build on top of those main combos, there's a thing called an E-flash. So instead of flashing and then Eing, you can buffer the E and then flash. So you go like this, you buffer E-flash, and you can hit them. And you can come out of like stealth and go E-flash. You can ulti and then flash. You can ulti and then rocket belt. And you can ulti and then flash rocket belt. So in general, these are basically Neeko's main combos that you need to know about. Like I said, there are some more intense versions. You can combine these to make better ones in the video that I linked a second ago. But I hope these combos help. Of course, you can add Zanyas at the end. Actually, really important, your ulti, you can't Zanyas during the jump. So I could Zanyas right now before it jumps, or I can Zanya's after, but I can't, if I'm pushing it, it doesn't go off in. See how it went off after? When you're jumping in the air, you can't, so you either have to Zanya's before or after you jump. But yep, these are Neeko's main combos. I hope they helped. Like I said earlier, there's the level 2 all-in before you have Q, which is important actually, is the stealth, the EQ auto ignite, and the ignite you can see proc to my electrocute. But anyways, I hope this helped you guys, and now we will move on to the lane phase. Okay, so now we're going to get into the lane phase. I'm trying to right now simulate a lane phase. So these are like my melee minions and caster minion, melee minion, caster minion, and we'll pretend that's the enemy carry. So in general, level 1, when you just have W, you're just looking to auto, get your empowered auto ready, and then you want to auto the enemy and walk away. That's what you're doing level 1. Now level 2, it's really on the second wave. So after you kill the first wave, on the second wave, when all 3 of the melee minions die, you hit level 2. So if you're using your W to push for level 2, you can use right before. I'm talking about you need to be pre-leveling E. So before the last minion dies, you need to pre-stealth at the enemy. And what that causes is as soon as that minion dies, say I'm level 1 here, I stealth, I hit level 2 here, point E, land the root auto ignite for electrocute, and that could be a first blood. So you basically are just auto harassing, and right when you're about to hit 2, you pre-stealth, E auto ignite for electrocute, and you can find first bloods like that. So if you can look at this clip that I can show you here, you can see it playing out, where as soon as I hit that level 2s, I'm level 1, and right as my ADC is about to hit that last minion, I pre-stealth at the enemy so that I can hit the E auto attack ignite for first blood. This is actually in a high elo game. This was on my main account in like Master Grandmaster elo, and I do get kills like this. So yes, like I said in the ability orders, I like to take W into E for this cheese play in general, and then once you hit level 3, you can start poking. Now in terms of lane positioning, it really depends on what the enemy is playing. So in general, Neeko is really, really good in the bush because it adds a lot of pressure. If the enemy walks up too close, you're always in threat of going for a stealth into a root. Important note, if you didn't know, your root gets empowered when it goes through people. So you can see when it goes here, it's only lasting that much time, right? 1, 2, and then it's done. But if you go through here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's like twice as long when it goes through the minion. So you're basically putting out pressure where you can stealth and run out and hit the enemy with a combo and all in. But you can't always play the bush. So how you know when to play the bush and not depends on the enemy champs. So say the enemy is playing a Nami support with, I don't know, a Varus ADC, for example, right? Not necessarily the meta champs right now, but just an example. Nami can't really do anything to you. She can't W unless she has vision of you. She can blind Q the bush, but you can dodge it. And Varus can't do anything either because he doesn't have skill shots that can do stuff. So you can come out and hit your combo. Where in return, if you were standing here versus an Varus Nami, Varus can easily hit you with insta Qs because he has vision of you, and Nami can walk up and W and hit you Qs. So against that kind of a comp, usually Enchanter supports kind of a thing, you want to play in the bush, and you can even walk up and pressure the enemy, and just sitting in the bush and doing nothing puts so much stress on the enemy. Now champions who you don't want to stand in the bush are like if you're playing versus a Blitzcrank, a Thresh, maybe even like an Ezreal ADC who will just keep spamming Qs. If you stand behind the minions, Ezreal can't Q you, right? So if you stand here versus a Thresh, you're going to get hooked. So versus like those type of champs, you usually want to position right behind the melees. Sometimes pull, if you're behind the melees and Thresh walks into this bush, maybe you can stand behind the caster or something. But for general, you just want to sit here. And if their ADC walks in too close, pretend this is the ADC now, you can auto hit them, right? Or you can, even if they walk up too close, walk into the wave a bit and land your combo. You just want to stand behind the minions. So in general, determine the enemy lane and figure out what they are. If they are champions who can hit you with poke that gets blocked by the minion wave, then you want to stand behind the melees. And if they are champions who cannot hit you in the bush, you want to camp the bush and look for all-in pokes. Now in general, like I said before, there's in the combo section, there's the Q auto poke, the E poke, EQ auto poke, all in, sorry, as your two main combos. So this is generally the main ways you're playing lane phase. In general, you kind of need to this isn't too much a video on how to do wave management, but in general, if you're shoving into the enemy tower, you want to be roaming up and getting vision control in the enemy jungle. Whereas if they're pushing to your tower and you're freezing the wave here, you want to be getting vision here. Usually I find basically the champions who you can't sit in the bush versus, like Thresh and stuff, you would rather freeze the wave over here by your tower. Every time a wave is going to crash and hit tower, you use your W to catch the wave and pull it away. So say a wave is coming into tower right now, you throw your W, which pulls the wave away. The new wave comes and it freezes right here, and you can perma freeze the wave here. It's really hard for a Thresh to do much on you when you're here or anything. Versus champs that you can harass, though, you want to keep shoving the wave into their tower and get prio for vision. So in general, these are the main ways you play your lane. You can always look for level 6 all-ins, of course. At level 6, you can go for the ulti and then the E-flash and look for all-ins, super strong. Just determine what your lane condition is, right? If you have a really early pressure ADC who's looking for all-ins, take the W into E and look for an all-in level 2. Look for that stuff. If you have an ADC who's like Ezreal maybe and just wants to farm and not look, a level 2 all-in's not going to happen, you can take the Q level 1 and just play a poke lane, right? And just wait till you go for level 6 kills. Really determine what your ADC's goal is and try to match your playstyle to that goal. And then also for the lane stance, try to match whether you're sitting in the bush or behind to determine what the enemy's thing is. The last thing I want to say is Neeko is a very good roamer. So if your lane ends up being done, say you guys both died, like your ADC has 2 deaths, you have 3 deaths. If you go bot, you're just going to die again. Neeko is super good at roaming. Transform into the enemy jungler and just show up top. The enemy top's going to be reacting as if you're jungle. Say you pretend to be Kindred. He's not going to be worried about getting rooted, and you hit a free root ulti, snowball top lane, take Herald, pop it top, right? Gank mid. Just don't be... Neeko is a really, really great lane bully, but if lane is done, there's no point of you sitting bot and dying with your ADC. Your ADC will be pissed. Let your ADC die. If you were bot, they'd be getting 2 kills, but instead they're getting 1 kill bot, and you're getting kills on the other side of the map. Sucks for your ADC. That's ADC role in in the 20th century here. But yeah, hope this guys helped you with the lane phase, and now we will be going to how to team fight as Neeko. Okay, now to talk about the mid-late game and how to pilot Neeko throughout this phase. So usually in the mid-late game, you'll have your ADC and the enemy ADC chilling in the mid lane, and you'll maybe have your jungler roaming around. Your top and bot mid lane will usually be bot and top clearing waves. Your job is to secure vision around your ADC to keep them safe. So that means getting like a ward here, and maybe a ward like over here, right? So if you can look at the map, your ADC is safe to farm because you have vision control, and you just want to hide out of vision. You don't want to sit in vision, because if you're standing in vision, the enemy team knows you're there. Where if you sit in this bush, you can always wait and maybe look for a gank and find a kill, or you could be roaming to bot lane and getting stuff done. Now, one thing I'll say about Neeko in the mid game is she's really good at vision control. Most champions, for instance, say you're trying to get vision up into this bush. W, you wait, you see no one's in there, you walk up, you hit the sweeper, you see no one's there, and you can go get a deep ward down here, and you just safely warded by yourself the enemy's area, right? Say your team is trying to do this dragon, right? And you don't want to face check this bush, right? Get the vision control down, right? Whoopsies. Right? Get the vision control down. So Neeko is very good at vision control. Try to get vision set up around the objective, because you are very strong at doing that by using your W to face check, and try to look for picks. Now, when it comes to team fighting, like I was saying a second ago, that there are plays, you want to find flanks, right? You don't want to be sitting in vision. So you want to sit out of vision and surprise the enemy with flanks. So if you watch this video playing right here, you can see that I'm hiding out of vision. And if I had walked into vision how they engaged on Alistar, they wouldn't have done it. It would have been a 4v4. But because I'm hiding out of vision, I could come from the side and hit a big ulti, because they thought it was a 3v3, but it was actually a 4v4. So as Neeko, that's what you want to be doing. Say in a mid game, this tower is down here, and they're pushing into this tower. You put a control ward in this bush, and you chill. And as they push up, you come here, and you flash Rocket Belt over the wall. Or you come over here, and you use your sweeper, and as they're pushing in, you come from behind, and you hit a big ulti from behind. I would say in general, when you're going for these flank plays, I would not do it if you don't have flash up, because if you get caught, you will die, and the flash will help you hit it. So in general, if you don't have flash up, you can even just like chill in places like this and hold the flank and come in for a safer angle. But if you have flash up, feel free to come from the long way from behind and hit flanks. This is mainly what you're going to be doing as Neeko. like a dragon fights, it's super strong. Usually when my team's doing dragon here, right, you can be like hiding here, and then as people are walking in, you just like walk in this bush and hide, and as they funnel in, you go in for the big flash rocket belt, hit them all, right? Just, you have to be creative. There's so many flanks, like you could even like hide here. Your team's doing dragon, the enemy team's funneling in here, and then all of a sudden you come out the side, you hit the blast cone, and with a big ulti on them like that, right? There's tons of plays you can do. Using your passive, your stealths, and everything to find flanks is really, really big on Neeko. One last thing I'd like to show you also here is, if you can see right here, you can use Neeko's W to tank towers. So you see how I use the W there? You can do this in lots of places. It's super good. You basically, your W can't be targeted for the first 0.5 seconds. You wait half a second, then go. Your W is tanking tower, and you can come get an ulti, and you don't need the wave to come. So super useful. Just be, like, I said it a couple times, but be creative. That's really all it is. You don't want to be the only thing I want to say is you don't usually just want to be sitting here with your team like this. Because if the enemy team sees you, it's hard for you. If you all of a sudden stealth and start running at them, they're going to run away, right? But if you come from like a side angle, it's harder for them to run away because they'll be pressured by your teammates, and it's just like a surprise. So try not to sit in vision as much as possible, even if it means just chilling like this as they're there, and then you just all of a sudden stealth and rocket belt on them. Try to hide out of vision and find flanks. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. It's been a while that I've been meaning to make one, and I finally got the dedication to do it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, check out my stream. I stream from 4 to 10 p.m. EST on weekdays. I'd love to meet you guys. Yeah. Love y'all.